everyone, and welcome to the podcast. Big thank you to our sponsor, Celebrity Coaches, providing transportation to the biggest names in entertainment. Thanks to Celebrity, we're hitting the road to talk to the pros that make concerts and live events happen. Today, we're on the streets of Nashville, Tennessee. We hope you enjoy this episode. If so, please leave us a comment. Don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe. Our guest today is another veteran behind the scenes in the live music industry. He has been an audio engineer in live entertainment for over 3 decades. Starting out in Southern California, he engineered for Sound Image Productions for 10 years. During and since then, just a few artists he has toured with are Tom Waits, John Fogerty, Indigo Girls, Marty Stuart, Earl Scruggs, Mary Chapin Carpenter, and during that time, he has toured with and still active with the Emmylou Harris. But most days currently, you can find him in downtown Nashville because for the last 26 years, he has been the production manager and audio supervisor for the legendary Ryman Auditorium. I'm honored to call him a friend. Originally from Long Beach, New York, he is Les Banks. Thanks for doing this, Les.
This is awesome.
Oh, thank you.
What a great idea. What a great way to spend an afternoon.
Oh, thanks. I'm glad you could do it. In typical times, you probably wouldn't have time to do this.
No, we'd be busy. Last year, the Ryman did 320 events.
Yeah. How many think you'll do this year?
50.
Yeah.
But we're still doing events. We're probably one of the few venues in the world.
Well, absolutely.
When this pandemic hit, we completely shut down like everyone else.
Yeah.
And then country artist Ashley McBride called and said, I want to come to the Ryman and sing Amazing Grace. So she just sent a video, one camera guy, and we brought in my lighting guy, and she did it. And she had to stop and go a couple of times because she cried, and she got emotional.
Yeah.
But we realized then, this could be a revenue stream. People doing videos.
Yeah.
So we did that for a while.
Yeah.
And we did, like, John Hyatt did a Valentine's thing with his daughter Lily.
Wow.
And then various people just came in and did videos.
Well, go back to Ashley McBride. I mean, she came in. It was early in the pandemic, and she
Very
was
early, like March 10th.
So she was emotional because of the situation as well as everything else.
Oh yeah, we were dead. People were sitting at home, and she had this idea. Could I possibly come to the Ryman? And it was
a very serious lockdown at the beginning. It was so. How long after that do you think you guys got started doing pulling in some other events?
Well, let's see. I think we stayed shut down for a couple of months.
Yeah.
And then, we're a museum during the day. So I think maybe in May, we started slowly opening up the museum.
I see. Just
little by little, it's baby steps. But still we're getting offers for doing videos and stuff. And I don't remember off the top of my head when we started going. But the big thing was we worked with the Metro Department of Health, and we had a live stream series August, end of July and August for 6 weeks, 6 Fridays. And the first 3 was stream only. And then the Department of Health allowed us to have 125 people. We go, whoa. Wow. Because you know what?
Yeah.
As a sound guy, when a song was over and you heard nothing,
right? It
was like we did Sturgill Simpson that way. I got to mix it.
Yeah.
It was like a black hole vacuum. Like, where's what are we doing?
It sounds like the show is not doing well when you have no applause at the end of the songs.
It was dead.
Yeah.
People, we don't know how to act.
Yeah.
So we had 125 people, and it sold out quick, but only 80 showed up.
Wow.
You ask yourself why.
Yeah.
Scalpers picked up the tickets because it was probably the first live event, since the pandemic.
Yeah.
And they priced their tickets so high, it was too high. People didn't buy them, and then they didn't come off fast enough, and they couldn't sell them.
Wow.
So 85, even though we sold 125, only 80 showed up. But that 80 was great. Very enthusiastic.
Very cool.
And that was like week 3 or 4, and then week 4, week 5, we got like 200 people. Week 5, we had like 250, and then week 6, we had 300.
Wow.
We had like Scotty McCrary and and then Old Crow Medicine Show.
And so that little by little, it's been more attendance. They've allowed,
again, working with the Department of Health, laying out a very comprehensive plan, how to enter, how to enter the building, set up rules like no food and beverage, no intermission. We're allowed 590 people now, which represents 25%.
Wow. Well, see, that's a whole other logistical issue, is just getting people in the building, trying to avoid lines and spacing and all that kind of stuff.
But as well as I do, I mean, you look at young people and look at Sturgis.
Yeah.
If there's an event, they'll go.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that'll show up right now.
And they're, some are look foolish, but we have a very strict mask policy.
Yeah.
We're constantly reminding, put your mask up, cover your nose.
Yeah.
Common sense.
Right. Well, and then, so before March, you're in there 6-7 days a week, aren't you?
Oh yeah, full steam ahead.
Yeah, and it was already, I'm sure it was already booked up solid.
We have a director of booking concerts, Chrissy Hall, and she deserves a platinum medal.
Yeah.
Because she spent all her time, hours a day, rescheduling, postponing.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
then it was a moving target. You postponed to one date because we didn't know. Nobody knew.
Yeah.
So postpone to this date, then it gets canceled, postpone.
Yeah.
It's just
it's
mind-boggling.
Absolutely. Well, I always say that, for a while there we thought, okay, well, we got a month, maybe another month, maybe another couple of weeks.
Nobody knew.
Yeah, and then after a while it was like, okay, well, it's not happening this year.
Now what are we going to do? Our industry is purported to be the first to shut down, be the last to come back fully.
Well, exactly. Well, like you say, there's a lot of people that will show up right now for a show and won't worry about it and get in a crowd, but there's just as many that aren't going to be comfortable. And vaccine or not, it's still not going to be, an overnight thing for people to just go, okay, I feel good about it.
It's going to be baby steps where the big arenas aren't going to come back for a while.
Yeah.
But that could be advantage for small venues like the Ryman. Have an arena act, play the Ryman for a week.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to encourage.
Yeah. And then we've had a couple of award shows that have done some shooting in there.
ACMs,
Yeah.
Dick Clark Productions, Rat Clark came in, and they took over the Opry House and the Ryman, and
the Bluebird.
They were so well organized
Yeah.
and very respected to the place, and it's probably one of the best award shows I saw.
Yeah.
And they did it. They knew how to do it right.
Yeah.
And it's almost like money was no object.
Well, it's there's so many logistics in an award show already, and then you try to do it safely and controlling the backstage and all those things.
Well, the Ryman was only 4 acts a day, and what they recorded at the Ryman was then later broadcast, the live broadcast at the Opry.
Yeah.
And they also did something at the Bluebird, but they took an hour between every act to sanitize, and everyone got COVID testing. And you had different colored wristbands and zones,
right.
And only a small group were allowed on stage.
Right.
And if you're on stage, you have to wear a face mask and a shield. So yeah, they took it very seriously. And not one singer shared a mic like that for the whole day. That mic was strictly that singer.
Yeah, that's great. Now you've adapted and set up a series of these streaming and partially attendance.
Well, we call it a hybrid.
Yeah.
Where we're allowed 590 people now.
Yeah.
And that's still not enough to pay a band.
Well, that's the thing.
So then you do a stream and hope for a couple of thousand views at $10-20 a piece. Yeah. And now you have some money to pay a band if you could find a band that's traveling. Who's out there? We're lucky to live in Nashville where we could draw from a pool of artists that live close by.
Exactly.
But in the big picture, people aren't traveling.
Yeah, there's no touring. That's why I was able to get a bus.
Yeah, right.
Typically, it's really, really hard to get a bus because they're all out on the road. So you say that the museum is still operating, the tourism thing is still operating.
Yeah, and it's reduced capacity. We used to see 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800 people a day.
Yeah.
I think 2 years ago we had over 300,000 people tour the museum during the day.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, typically when you're doing a sound check or setting up for a show during the day, you still have tourists coming through taking.
Yeah. When you're setting up front of house, you're like a fishbowl. In fact, I like talking to people, but when every 2 minutes someone asks who's playing, I finally got a placard saying,
"Yeah,
playing tonight."
Yeah.
And then you have like a little old lady going. You have 30 people on stage, 2 semis of gear. Do y'all still do shows here? Yes, ma'am. We do all sorts of stuff. We do rock and roll and country and dinners on stage. We do funerals.
Well, that's the other thing too, is a lot of people don't know that the Ryman is is known for the Grand Ole Opry, but it's it's only there a portion of the year, if at all.
When the Ryman was built, they had a motto: "All is welcome."
Yeah.
And we try to hold true to that. Any genre could come in.
Yeah.
To that point, we actually made history and had our first rap act, Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh, nice.
Come in last year, and the show's doors are at 7. They show up at 6, and they didn't have a sound guy or nothing. Yeah. So I got my license in mixed hip hop.
Nice. There you go. Well, let's talk about that, because there's a lot of national acts that have come through, and especially over the years that you've been there. That show up, don't have a sound engineer, and you end up getting to mix them.
Well, when I mix, it's like my sandbox.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, Jason Isbell was Isbell came in, and he didn't have a sound guy, and I didn't really know much about him.
Yeah.
And I got to mix his show, and that night proved why we mix, why we listen to music. It was like from the first note to the last note. Myself and the band and 2,000 people went on a magic carpet ride, and everyone felt this amazing uplift of spirit by the end of the night, going, this is why we listen to music. Yeah. This is why I mix. Yeah. That's why the musicians play. Yeah. It kind of reinforced why we do what we do.
Yeah. It's nice when you get some of those.
They don't happen very often.
Yeah. But you've also had probably some legends or some of your idols and stuff come through. And
that's the treat,
Yeah, exactly.
People, I've been there 26 years, probably seen over 4,000 shows. Most of them are great. And people go, what are your favorite? And one of my favorites was Tom Petty in a band called Mudcrutch.
Oh, wow.
Mudcrutch was a band he formed when he was 16 years old in Florida.
Wow.
It still had Mike Campbell on guitar and Ben Mont on keyboards with these other guys. And then I guess they got a record deal. They went to L.A. and the record company said, we don't want these guys. We just want you. So Mudcrutch went away. Then he formed the Heartbreakers.
Wow.
But then he reformed Mudcrutch and did a couple albums with them. But in this band, he plays bass.
Okay.
And the quote of the day was, oh shit, I forgot when you play bass, you can't stop. Because... you're vamping on guitar. You kind of just vamp.
Yeah.
But he was playing bass with Mudcrutch.
You don't get to stop.
But it was such an honor to have one of my favorite legends, Tom Petty, play the Ryman, and then we lost him like 2 years later.
Yeah. Very sad. Well, the Ryman in general, I think, has it's known for sounding great in there. But you've been there a long time, and a lot of people don't understand how it works, and that sort of thing. It's not an automatic thing. And I think you've contributed to that quite a bit. When people walk away and they say, man, it sounded great in there, more often than not, you're standing behind the console,
The key is, do not overpower the room.
Right.
The great acoustics is not a great plus factor if you're going to be super loud and mix like you're in an arena.
Yeah.
But if you could have the cooperation of the band level on stage, and you don't mix like you're in an arena, it's magic.
Yeah.
Because you could lose that room really quick.
Yeah.
And some people get it, some people don't. It's really confusing when you sound check and it's empty with all the wood pews. Yeah. It's really, really reverberant and loud. So I try to calm them down and say, hey, dude, you got a sold-out show. It's going to be great tonight. Just don't overpower the room.
Right.
And when they listen and do it, it's magic.
Yeah.
But...
it's awesome.
You know what's cool though? The Ryman being what it is, it's on people's bucket list to play.
Yeah.
So it even mellows out the crankiest crew. And the band members are honored to be there.
Yeah.
One of my favorite little moments was meeting Keith Richards. Came in to play Willie Nelson TV birthday special. And he goes, I love playing these old theaters with my own band. But then this other band I'm with, they twist my arm and make me play these big stadiums. I go, oh yeah, that other band.
That other band, yeah. Yeah.
But he goes, this place sounds fucking great.
Yeah.
And that musicians get that.
Yeah.
They're excited to be there.
Oh, totally. Well, the history and all the artists that have been through there.
But they're also really nervous. Garth Brooks sells out stadiums, right?
Yeah.
He could sell out anything. For years, he would not step foot in the Ryman because he felt, without judging, he wasn't worthy.
Wow.
And then he finally went there for a songwriter, Harlan Howard's funeral.
Yeah.
And then years ago, Loretta Lynn called him up and said, hey, I'm playing one song for a Grammy salute. Will you play guitar for me? And he said, honey, I'd love to, but I'd be too nervous, and hung up the phone. And his wife, Trisha Yewood, said, call her back and get over this already and do it.
Wow.
And he did, but he was nervous.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, to launch the Goth channel on XM Sirius,
Okay.
he came and brought his whole band, and he was crying. He goes, I don't know why I stayed away. I feel like I'm home. And he was so humbled to be there.
Yeah.
And then the British band Mumford & Sons,
Yeah. Yeah.
they came over, and they had 3 sold-out shows, and they had what we call the Ryman Jitters, where Marcus Mumford is forgetting words,
Oh, wow.
and the audience is giving him the words, but he's getting all flustered. Then he goes back and starts to play the drums and had to run off stage to get sick. The whole band left the stage for 8 minutes to regroup because they were so nervous.
Wow.
And it's cool to see that there's a human element to this.
Sure.
That they really get how special this place really is.
Yeah.
So I'm blessed to have this gig as long as I had. And
Absolutely.
it's just amazing.
Yeah. Well, I know that part of the thing that not everybody knows is that the space on the stage and the space backstage and stuff like that, that's not going to change any more than it has now. And you've got the alley behind there, and you've got also the historical pride bylaws that control how anything that's done in terms of remodeling. And
yeah, you can't change the theater. We expanded the lobby and the gift shop, and the theater's remained unchanged since 1892.
Yeah.
To a point. 1892 to 1897, 1974. When they closed in 1974, when the Grand Ole Opry moved to the Opry House, the place sat empty for 20 years.
Right.
And in 1991, country artist Emmylou Harris did a live record there for the Nash Ramblers. And I was lucky enough to be her monitor guy back in the late 80s, early 80s and 90s. I lived in San Diego at the time, and I got a call. She wants to do a record, live record. So we're flying you to Nashville, play at the Ryman. I never heard of the Ryman. I never heard of the Opry. I used to say they have to pay me to listen to country music. So I flew in, and was taken aback how cool this theater was. Hemp rope, rope, and Bill Monroe's there. Bill Monroe's dancing over there, and this place is cool. Significant as that was, because she did a concert there, it brought attention to the Ryman that was forgotten. Right. And the Gaylord Entertainment Company bought the place and remodeled it and reopened in '94. Yeah. But they credit Emmylou for
reviving it.
Reviving it.
Yeah. And so, was that the first time you worked with her?
1991, May 1991 was the first time I was there.
Oh, in the Ryman.
And then I lived in San Diego and had 2 little babies, and it's time to move. So we moved here in 1993. Yeah. And then in 1994, I woke up and read the Tennessean full-page ad, Ryman reopens. So I went in there and talked to a guy, John Meyer, and said, hey, I'm on the road, but if you need someone part-time, let me know. So I was part-time sound guy from 94 to 2000. Yeah. And then a full-time position came open, and I took it. Yeah. Never looked back. Yeah. I'm still there.
Well, but you've stayed working with Emmylou every time, pretty much.
Stayed working with Emmylou. I still work with Emmylou.
Yeah. You guys just did a couple of shows.
Just did a couple of shows at City Winery. She's a close friend. I go to her house for Christmas and New Year's. Yeah. I met the mother of my kids because of Emmy. I met the Ryman because of Emmy. Yeah. Very special relationship.
Absolutely. So tell me about those shows that you got to do. The City Winery, they're doing a tent or something back there.
They're doing an outdoor tent. This was a benefit for her dog rescue.
Oh, okay.
And it was a hybrid, it was limited crowd and a stream. Yeah. and she had the Red Dirt Boys, and then last time we had Carlene Carter and Marty Stuart.
Okay.
That was fun.
Yeah. Marty Stewart's another one that you've worked with a lot over the years.
Man, how honored am I and lucky to get to work with these people.
Yeah.
Now, Marty opened my eyes to the history of music. He goes, you want to hear good harmonies, listen to gospel. And I did.
Yeah.
You want to hear a great country voice, listen to George Jones. And I did. You want to hear some good picking, listen to bluegrass. And I did.
Yeah, yeah.
So as long as he told me and I listened, I got an education.
Absolutely. Unbelievable. So in the typical schedule at the Ryman, well, one of the things I was talking about though with the stage space stuff like that, a lot of the shows that come through there, a lot of the tours that come through there, those productions are designed for larger theaters or even arena shows.
But
so
people try all the time to put 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag.
Right. And so what's like one of the largest productions you've crammed in there?
Well, believe it or not, Michelle Obama.
I heard that she had
4 semis plus a production truck for 2 people, her and Stephen Colbert. But there's a reason for that. She did 30 venues. We were the last stop. Every venue was a 17,000 seat arena, and the Ryman was the smallest. So they had,
I see. Yeah.
They carried enough to do a 17,000 seat arena,
right,
and didn't have time the night before in Atlanta to repack the trucks. So all 4 trucks came. But their production manager is a guy who runs Madison Square Garden, and he had it put together, and we just followed his lead, and it was so professional and so methodically organized. And we had a 4 a.m. load-in because it was for video and broadcast.
Yeah.
And I had like one of the largest crews we had to put together.
Yeah.
And you just felt like you were doing something special. And the Secret Service was there, and bomb sniffing dogs, and
sure.
But 4 semis plus a production truck for 2 people talking on stage.
Right, and so it's a downtown venue. Like most downtown venues, you've got all kinds of restricted streets and things like that, getting semis in and out of there. And you got a large production that comes in, and you've got to rotate trucks and figure out what's going to come out of this one.
We got it figured out. You know, we could do 4 semis. They park and they dump to an area. It's a 250-foot push from the street to the inside.
Yeah.
You can't do it all at once. You got to stagger it, and
Yeah.
I like to say, I better not say it. I think we've seen everything, but just when you say that, something else comes up.
Yeah. So typically, something like that with a large production, you're in there at 4 or 5 in the morning.
Well, that's not typical. And that's the one word. Let's not use the word. There's nothing typical.
Well,
every day's different. That's what I like.
Yeah.
So the Michelle Obama was 4 in the morning. Typically a big three semi, 2 semis, 8 or 9 in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, you got riggers coming in. You set points.
Yeah.
Back when there was catering, you had breakfast. Back in those days.
Yeah.
But and then you pace yourself. The real unique thing that tours can't get used to is we are a museum open to the public, and you cannot make noise till 4 o'clock.
Right.
What do you mean I can't make noise till 4 o'clock?
Yeah.
You just can't.
Yeah.
We're so
right.
They got to work around that. But most people understand and they could do it.
There's a few venues around the country where you have some sort of noise restriction during the day. So you get everything ready until that minute you can start making noise.
And bands, as well as I do, bands are used to a certain schedule. So even though you can't make noise at 4, you still come in the normal time and you pace yourself.
Yeah.
Why stress out? Have a nice, easy day.
Yeah. And you've got the museum going. You got tourists coming in there taking pictures on the stage while you're trying to set up and sound check.
Yeah, it's unique.
It is very unique. I always wonder about those because there's for the photographs that they take for the tourists, you've got the backdrop.
Not only do you have your backdrop, you have the crew.
Right.
How many photos have we photobombed? People come back from their vacations.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Hey, who's that guy?
I've been there for a few shows where I was thinking they're not going to be happy with that photo.
But they're happy. People are happy to be there.
Well, sure. And that's a unique photo, too, because you never know what the production's going to be in there, that sort of thing. And they catch that in the back of their picture. If you had not pursued music, what would you have done?
I have no idea. No, I always loved music. I grew up in New York. We used to sneak out of the house and take the train, Long Island Railroad, to Fillmore East. and go to concerts, and then come back at 5 in the morning, sneak back in the house, and get ready for school. And music and surfing was always the culture I was in.
Yeah.
And so,
What do you think? What do you think was one of the first things that got your attention in the music business?
I'll tell you what. My friend had a Beatles record, and he goes, "Look at this." He panned it to the left, and all you heard was the vocals. And he panned it to the right, and all you heard was instruments with no vocals.
Yeah.
I go, "Whoa, this is like so cool." And to this day, I'm obsessed with isolated tracks, and I have a whole collection. A gift, Buddy Miller, artist and musician in town, gave me 4 master tracks of Sgt. Pepper, where you could just hear Paul in the vocal booth or Paul and John just singing together.
Yeah.
And it's
I've seen you post a few of those things.
Man, it
It's
gives me goosebumps.
Well, yeah, because there's hardly anything like that now.
And then, I played a little guitar, but
Yeah.
I realized there's a million people better than me, and so I still wanted something to do with music.
Yeah.
So I got into sound.
Well, I always say that, mixing an audio console, especially for in a house, it's like playing an instrument.
Yeah, you're playing the band.
Yeah, exactly.
You're part of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's part of the experience for everybody out front.
And just like I was telling you about Jason Isbell, it gives you that rush. Like you plugged into something really special.
Yeah.
That magic moment of why we listen to music.
Yeah.
It's like, it gets reinforced. It's not always like that.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Plus, I got to see the world.
Oh, exactly. Traveling.
I got to see the world without nothing wrong with joining the military, but I got to see the world without joining the military. And,
right.
And it was great.
So, what were some of the concerts you'd go to when you were in New York?
Well, first concert I was like 12 years old. I saw the Monkees.
Nice.
Forest Hills Tennis Court with my Uncle Robert. And we got a nosebleed seat. And there's some guy playing guitar in the opening act. I go, "Uncle Robert, who's that guy? I want to see the Monkees." It wasn't until 10 years ago I realized who that was.
Who's that?
Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, man.
Jimi Hendrix, and I documented the date.
Yeah.
Opened up for the Monkees for 4 shows and got tired of people yelling, "Where's the Monkees?" So it was completely wasted on me. I saw Jimi Hendrix and didn't even know it.
Wow. Yeah.
But I was there.
Absolutely.
And then, like I said, I started going to Fillmore East, 11:30 late show, get done at 3:30 in the morning, take the 5:05 back to the island. And my first real rock concert was Jethro Tull, 1968 or 1969. And I was just going, $5.50, 10th row center. That was magic. You just, you're going on the trip. And then people didn't know it, but Carnegie Hall did rock shows.
Oh, really?
And I had the most incredible time I saw at Carnegie Hall, Jethro Tull doing the benefit album. And I used to pride myself on buying a really cheap seat and moving down. And on a sold-out show at Carnegie Hall, I found this empty seat that no one came to, 6th row center. And it was kind of, Ian Anderson was playing acoustic guitar, and for some reason, it just struck me how good it sounded.
Yeah.
And I go, that sounds so natural. So I really understood like sound reinforcement.
Right.
I saw Pink Floyd there. I saw Moody Blues there, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and Chicago and Neil Young.
In Carnegie Hall.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you have these little box seats, these suites. It was just so cool.
Unbelievable. It's very cool. All right. So
I ended up in San Diego in the early 70s.
Yeah.
And it was a movie theater called the La Paloma. Showed surf movies. It ironically had pews and couches on the sides.
Oh, nice.
And they started doing concerts. So I came in and go, "Hey, I want to help out with concerts." "Well, we don't do any concerts, but we need a janitor." I go, "All right, I don't care. I'll be a janitor, ticket taker."
Yeah.
So I was. And then one day I had keys to the place and everyone left, and I was rummaging through these closets and I found a little tiny 6-channel TIAC mixer. And I don't know how or why, but I figured out a way to hook that mixer up to the theater's speakers and get a microphone to work. I go, "This is great."
Yeah.
So I convinced the theater manager that between surf movies, let me run up there, roll up the screen, bring out the speakers, and put up a musician and a guitar for 15 minutes.
Really?
And he went with it, and I
Wow.
was so happy to get sound. So that was my first introduction to sound, and I go, this is what I really want to do. And
that is awesome.
And then there was a hotel showroom in San Diego called the Catamaran. Did national acts, like a lot of jazz acts.
Yeah.
Jazz acts like Sarah Vaughan, Ramsey Lewis, Ray Charles. Did some rock shows like the Tubes. They needed a sound guy. And I learned then, when asked a question, if you know how to do something, always say yes, and then learn how to do it.
There you go.
So I got this job down there as the house sound guy, a little 16-channel tangent, but national acts came through, and it was awesome.
So that's where you really started digging into audio.
Actually, hitting a major national tour, tours would come through.
Yeah.
Then I started working for a sound company that was then called Silverfish Audio, that went on to morph into Sound Image.
Very cool.
And that's it grew with that.
You were working there when you got the call for Emmylou?
Yeah, so Emmylou was a client of Sound Image or Silverfish.
Yeah.
And the then monitor guy was tired, didn't want to do it anymore. He goes, "You want to do monitors for Emmylou?" I go, "Sure." Will I get to travel? Sure.
Did you know who she was at that time?
Well, yeah, because a great artist, Steve Goodman, passed away. And we did this benefit tribute for him at the Pacific Amphitheater. And that was like Jackson Browne and Jimmy Buffett and Emmylou and Rodney Crowell, and all these people came and played. Our sound company did the sound for that.
Yeah.
But I knew who Emmy was because I watched The Last Waltz.
In
The Last Waltz, she did that song Evangeline, and I loved it.
Yeah.
So I knew who she was. And I always said she set the bar of how people should act. I mean, she's just genuine, sweet, wonderful person.
Yeah.
Just still is.
Absolutely. Very cool. And so you had done the Ryman show with her, and you went back home, and then you had your boys.
Yeah, I had two twin boys, 1991.
Yeah.
And then, man, San Diego was getting expensive.
Yeah.
My friends in Nashville said, "Move to Nashville."
Yeah.
I go, "Well, I've never lived more than walking distance to an ocean." But I flew in and out. Then I had a chance to be a sound tech on Vince Gill arena tour, and I did that. Stayed at my friend's house in Murfreesboro.
Yeah.
And then worked for Mary Chapin Carpenter as a production manager.
Yeah.
And just ended up working at the Ryman.
Yeah, I think like a lot of people, when you figure out that there's a lot of acts based here and you can get plenty of work.
Well, also, not only based here, but 500-mile radius.
Sure.
Play all week.
Yeah.
And country music's famous for weekend warriors.
Oh, totally.
Well,
the touring is different than the pop and rock world. You can go out for the
you
weekend.
Leave Thursday at midnight and come back Monday, where rock and roll leaves in February and comes back in October.
Exactly right. And was there anything in between? Once you took the Ryman, and you're there pretty steadily.
Well, I started part-time at the Ryman in 94, so I kind of balanced my time with Marty Stuart and Mary Chapin and Indigo Girls, and did that, as much as I could until a full-time position came up.
Yeah.
So it was cool.
Has there been anything that you had to turn down?
Nope.
No? Well, I mean, you've probably been able to go out and do some of these things anyway, though. On occasion, I know.
How did I forget this? I had the immense honor of being Earl Scruggs' sound guy for the last 12 years of his life.
Oh, my gosh.
His wife, Louise, called me up because of Marty Stuart. They knew me.
Yeah.
And Louise called me, "Les, can you come out and do sound for Earl?" And when Louise Scruggs asks you something, you always say yes.
Yeah.
I go, "Yes, ma'am." And that was an amazing honor.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I had the honor of producing his funeral at the Ryman.
Wow.
And I was honored to be a pallbearer.
Wow.
And one of the things that was just amazing, and I knew it was going to happen, but it didn't prepare you for the visual. The casket's in front of the stage, and after everyone played, I joined the pallbearers, and the funeral director said, "Pallbearers, please rise and lead the casket up the center aisle to the hearse." Well, pre-planned was lining the aisles with 50 of the top musicians in Nashville, all holding a banjo. Wow. And as the casket went by, they lowered the neck like an honor.
Yeah.
And it was like Vince Gill and Bela Fleck and Sam Bush and Charlie Cushman and everyone who's who. It was like a real big moment.
Absolutely. Unbelievable. Wow. I wonder how much of that was that documented at all?
There's a couple of shots. I mean, the funeral was documented from above.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen a good picture of the honor guard.
There's been several major funerals there.
Yeah, we had Bill Monroe.
Yeah.
We had Merle Kilgore. We had Jim Ed Norman and Earl Scruggs. We do really good funerals. No, seriously.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's
we got it down.
Yes. I don't know how you advertise that, but sure.
We do all. Always welcome.
It's a full service venue, man, from beginning to end. What now? In February, we had a tornado. Before the pandemic, we had a tornado. Did the Ryman suffer anything from that?
No, we were lucky. You know, we were in the Dominican Republic with Emmy, with the Avid brothers. February 27th. Came home March 3rd, tornado.
Yeah.
March 12th, pandemic.
Right. Yeah.
Then riots.
Yeah.
And then straight line winds.
Yeah.
What a year.
Yeah. It's been.
Let's forget about this year.
It's been unbelievable.
But we didn't. And then even in 1998, there was a tornado downtown.
Yeah.
And we suffered a couple of broken windows, and we actually canceled the show. It was Charlie Daniels. And then in 2010, we had the floods.
Right.
And the Opry House got completely destroyed.
Right.
And the Ryman was spared.
Really?
Scrimmahorn was destroyed, but the Ryman was spared.
Well, it's so funny because as we come down there, I always realize how, Broadway was a river when we had that flood. And the Ryman's just at the
one block.
Yeah, one block
it
from
stopped on 3rd.
Yeah.
And
it's just at the top of that rise there. I was going to ask. That's what one of my questions was going to ask you about if there was anything major damage.
I tell you, I was on the road with Old Crow Medicine Show at the New Orleans Jazz Festival.
Yeah.
And we're watching on the news because it was a Nashville-based bus at Channel 5, local news. So we're watching News Channel 5 helicopter hovering over sound check.
Yeah.
And there on the screen is everyone on this bus's car completely underwater because we parked. And only because my son said, "Dad, can I borrow your car for 2 weeks while you're gone?" I was the only one on the bus whose car was spared.
Wow.
But there's Toby Keith's 12 semis completely underwater.
Right.
Brad Paisley was in full production rehearsal.
Yeah.
Vince Gill lost 50 vintage guitar and amps.
Yeah.
Keith Urban's $200,000 Les Paul is floating down the Cumberland. I mean, talk about tragedy.
Right. And Musicians Hall of Fame, Joe Chambers had a bunch of just antique relics and things stored there as well.
But Kebmo just moved to town, put us all his stuff in the sound check. That got destroyed.
I remember hearing that.
But you know what? Volunteer state was really true. Everyone rolled up their sleeves and helped out.
Yeah.
And they did like an amp triage where all these amp techs tried to repair all these amps that were underwater.
Yeah, yeah.
And the Opry, I got to give credit to my brothers and sisters at the Opry, which was a stable show. And in 48 hours, it became a mobile show. In 48 hours, they moved to War Memorial. And SIR donated backlines, Shure donated mics, Claire Brothers donated sound. And in 2 days, 48 hours, they were up and running.
Right.
And then for like 6-9 months, they played other venues while they rebuilt the Opry.
When I had Jeff Hatfield, we talked about that because with the pandemic, even with the pandemic, the Opry show still hasn't missed a Saturday since, I don't know when, the Saturday broadcast.
It never missed a performance.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's one of the things. It's the longest running radio show in American history.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Oh, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
And when they started, people were going, this is what we needed. You know, it really grounded people like, oh, there is hope.
Yeah.
And we gave people hope.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so anything else that we missed in your journey to Nashville? And anybody else?
Let's see, we got Scruggs and the Ryman and favorite. So a couple other favorite shows was filming of Neil Young's Heart of Gold with the late Hollywood director Jonathan Demme. They used film as a medium.
Yeah.
It was 3 days.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
getting to see, people I grew up with, like Mark Knopfler is a big fan.
Yeah.
Tom Petty, I said.
Yeah.
Roger Daltrey declared the Ryman the greatest place he's ever played.
That is very cool.
Better than Woodstock, better than Leeds, better than Wembley.
Isn't that amazing over the history that guy's had?
Yeah. So, when you get confirmation that you're doing something right.
Yeah. Yeah. This is your chance to get on a bus. The last time you got on a bus with Emmylou, going down to Florida, right?
Yeah, 16 hours.
Yeah.
Wasn't ready for that. But when we got there, we played a private island, Little Torch Key or something.
Yeah.
Private resort.
Yeah.
Played on a sandbar.
Yeah.
And turned around and came home.
Another 16 hours back. Yeah.
That's a long time.
That's a long time. Is there other long bus rides that you remember from the touring days?
Really. I mean, we've had long bus rides, but typically you have a long bus ride, then you stay out for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and then come back. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then come back after that, but not turn around. What about animals? You got animals at home?
I have 3 cats.
Nice.
2 20-year-old cats and 1 2-year-old cat.
Unbelievable. 20 is good.
Yeah.
They doing well?
They're doing great.
That's awesome.
They hang out. Cats are, all you gotta do is feed them.
Well, they're a lot less maintenance, that's for sure. Yeah,
I love dogs.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's a great companion.
Touring with Emmy with a dog rescue, she had dogs on the bus. Nothing prepares you, Don, for having a lower bunk, bottom bunk, 3 in the morning, the bus stops so she could walk the dog, and something's licking your face. And you go to yourself, I'm on a bus, what could be licking my face? It's a dog. Or if it's raining outside, the dog comes in and goes in someone's bunk to get warm,
Right.
all muddy and slimy. And they get first right of refusal. If the dog's on the couch,
Yeah.
you can't kick the dog off.
No, they don't get it. No, very spoiled. So, what about in your touring days? What's your road food? What do you got to do on the road? Where do you got to stop? Anywhere you got to stop? You make the driver stop at a certain place? Any particular burgers or any particular pizza?
I make them stop when I got to shit. That's really the most important time to stop.
Yeah, but before that, what about the food? That's what I'm trying to get to. What about the food?
Man, you just get off when they do fuel stops, truck stops.
Yeah.
Where you bring your own snacks.
What about New York? Do you still have people back in New York?
My sister still lives on Long Island.
And you get to go visit?
Not really.
Yeah.
Not too much.
Yeah.
Not as much as I should. No, I got a brother who lives in Chicago.
Yeah.
And
when you go to those places, is there places that you have to hit? You got to go get the pizza. You got to go get the burgers, or what? Something?
Long Beach, New York, Gino's Pizza.
Yeah.
Best pizza in the world.
Okay.
Long Beach, real quick, was a great place to grow up. It's 30 minutes by train to the city.
Yeah.
It's a barrier reef, 3 miles long, half a mile wide.
Yeah.
Ocean on one side, the bay on another. You get anywhere by bicycle.
Right.
It's great. I love sushi. Sushi's my #1 favorite food.
Oh yeah.
That's my happy meal.
And so where do you go in Nashville?
Different places. There's Sakura. I live out near Hermitage.
Yeah.
And then there was Sushi Thai, and then at the Ryman there used to be a place called Ichiban's right on 2nd Avenue,
Uh-huh.
but it burned down.
Now the place that they're building across from the Ryman now, it's going to have some food places. You know what?
Yeah.
You know what else?
They're gonna have.
Yeah. I just noticed I saw a Hattie B's sign today. It's the first time I saw a food place there.
Yeah, they got.
That place is going to be.
Can't wait till they open it up.
Yeah, you can't wait till the construction is gone.
Oh my God, 3 years. It's kind of interesting to watch something grow out of the ground.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Well, and if you don't go down there, just like everything else in Nashville, every time I drive down there, it's like stuff is going up fast. So what else? Anybody else or anything else that you want to talk about, or anybody else you want to give a shout out to? You did I want to ask you about the Ryman, about the audio. You did a revamp of the audio system in the last year, wasn't it?
A couple of years.
2 years ago.
We went with JBL's new A12 box.
Okay.
And we reconfigured the PA to hang underneath the proscenium instead of coming from the top.
Yeah.
Just really revamped the under balcony for better coverage.
Yeah.
And got thumbs up from all visiting engineers that've been through there many times.
Yeah.
compliments that we did a great job.
Yeah.
Shout outs to JBL, Raul, and Nick
Yeah.
Warren, and Claire Brothers Install, Andy over there.
Yeah.
It was quite, because really, we're so busy when the install happened. We had a 5-day window in the beginning of January,
Yeah.
2 years ago, to get it done. So they had months of pre-work, prefabrication,
Yeah.
but really 5 days. I told the woman who books the concerts, I got to have 5 days. What? You can have 4. I need 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was great.
Yeah. Was okay. So, Les, with everybody around the country, engineers and bands coming through, most everybody that comes through Nashville, they know who you are. It's always a great thing for them to come and see you. It's a great thing for me when I come through there with a production of some sort.
All is welcome.
Absolutely. And viewers and listeners, if you're ever in Nashville and you can get to the Ryman, go up by the sound booth in the balcony level. Don't ask him who's playing, but just say hello to Les Banks. Les, thanks for doing this.
Hey, thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for watching. Let us know what you thought by leaving us a comment. You can also follow us on these social networks. And if you want to see more, please like, share, and subscribe.